When you look at the drivers who have all won either 4 or more world championships throughout F1 history, Sebastian Vettel, Alain Prost, Juan Manuel Fangio, and Michael Schumacher, all of them at some point have driven for Ferrari. All except for Lewis Hamilton. There have been countless successful and iconic teams in F1, but none of them, even now, have that mystique and aura around them like the Scuderia Ferrari. Winning a world championship with any team is special, but winning for Ferrari goes well even beyond that. And that's why it's so fascinating that the most successful man in F1 history and the man with the joint most championships has never come together with the most successful and quintessential Formula 1 team. Before we get to some of the more in-depth reasons as to why this partnership never happened, let's have a run through the realistic moments during Lewis's career of when his contracts ran out and when he could have considered a move to Ferrari. Now, Lewis so far has signed 7 different contracts throughout his career, so that's what we're going to be going through, but for the purposes of this, I'm not going to talk with the benefit of hindsight of where the team actually went with its car performance, and instead I'm going to focus on the information that was available at the time. When we're talking about a potential superstar move like this, the timing has to be right. And more often than not, the timing of Ferrari looking for a driver has not coincided with Hamilton either wanting a new challenge or having a bad season and wanting out. The first opportunity for Hamilton to sign would have been right at the end of his 1-year rookie deal in 2007. Now, Hamilton made an instant impact on F1 with what I consider to be the greatest ever rookie season, but even so, to me, there is no realistic way that Hamilton, after his rookie season, with the team that signed him at the age of 13, there is no way he would have left after only 1 year. Added to that his close relationship with Ron Dennis and his promise to win a title for McLaren, Fernando Alonso also wouldn't have been at the team for the 2008 season, so he would have been much more of a number 1, and the fact that although Ferrari won the championship, McLaren gave Lewis a great car which allowed him to just miss out on the championship by 1 point. And even for Ferrari, it wouldn't really make much sense because they had a great driver lineup of Massa and Raikkonen who had just won the title, and there's no real need for a fast but yet to be proven rookie Hamilton. The next possible opportunity would have been at the end of 2011, where even though Lewis had a contract for the following season, he had what was undoubtedly even now his worst ever season, and he might have been looking for a new challenge and motivation. Now, although as I said he did have a contract for 2012, in 2011 the seeds of a McLaren exit could have been planted. McLaren fell well short of the Vettel and dominant RB7 combination, and Lewis himself wasn't at his best even though he managed to get 3 wins during a quote-unquote weak season. However, the biggest problem with that is that Ferrari were even worse. Felipe Massa didn't score a single podium, and although Alonso actually finished ahead of Lewis in 2011 and only 1 point behind Webber in the Red Bull, even so, Fernando doing miracles in a terrible Ferrari isn't exactly a great invitation for Lewis to seemingly make the plunge and once again reunite with Fernando as teammates in what was even then a very questionable Ferrari team. Then we move on to 2012 and the year that Hamilton did make his move away from McLaren. Now, at this point in terms of car performance, I think there might be something there for Hamilton to think about Ferrari. Although the F2012 wasn't exactly a Ferrari to be remembered, Fernando did take it to a title decider. Now, even though I think everyone realized at the time that that was more him than the car, at least Ferrari had improved from 2011. The problem is, even when Hamilton did want to leave in 2012, being in the same team as Alonso would be a big risk for Lewis in terms of trying to build the team around him for the future. What's the point of going to a Ferrari team where they already have their number 1 who can challenge for championships? The next 2 times where Hamilton's contracts ran out were at the end of 2015 when he had just won the title, and at the end of 2018 when he beat Ferrari's Sebastian Vettel and again just won the title. I think even at these points, although Ferrari in 2018 had a very good car and maybe looked tempting, It's the same situation of why would Lewis want to go into a team where they already have their 4-time world champion in Seb. However, there was one last time, and that was at the end of 2019 when it was reported that Hamilton met multiple times with Ferrari's president John Elkann. Now, this would have been for the 2021 season because, of course, let's not forget, at the beginning of 2021 there was this whole crazy situation where Hamilton didn't actually have a contract for this year, but then of course everything got straightened out as he signed a 1-year extension and then in July inked a further 2-year deal with Mercedes, which will keep him there until 2023. But those conversations did reportedly happen at the end of 2019, and Hamilton himself, when asked about it, didn't completely shoot down the rumors either. We know Ferrari were looking to replace Sebastian Vettel, and although Lewis would have been a massive coup for them, even if the talks had progressed into 2020, by the time Lewis saw the SF1000 as he was probably lapping it on the track in 2020, I'm pretty sure any discussions would have ended right there and then. But still, it's quite fun to think about the fact that in a parallel universe 2021 season, we have Hamilton and Leclerc right now at Ferrari, and then I'm guessing at Mercedes it would have been Valtteri Bottas and George Russell fighting Max Verstappen for the World Championship. So that is the black and white contractual reasons as to why it never quite came together, but before we delve a little bit more in depth, over 73% of the people currently watching this video are unsubscribed, and so if you're enjoying the video or have enjoyed some of my other previous content, then don't forget to subscribe and support the channel. But anyway, let's get back into the video. When Lewis was at McLaren under the watchful eye of Ron Dennis and the McLaren brand, which cultivated a very specific image at the time, Lewis had to dress, talk and act a certain way, and he wasn't always allowed to be himself. Now, even though Mercedes of course was still a very corporate team, he really opened up as a person when he went there in 2013, and he really started to express himself more and more. The hair, the clothes, the jewelry, none of it stopped him from doing the business and dominating when he was given the car to do so. And that developed into the driver that we see today, who more than ever before is not afraid to do what he wants and wear what he wants, because the bottom line is that when the visor is down and when we don't see any of that, you can't question the man's ability to get the job done behind the wheel. Let's also not forget about the close relationship that Lewis has with Toto, and the fact that under his management and with the might of Mercedes behind him, Hamilton has talked at length about wanting to be remembered for more than just his driving, and that's why he's been at the heart of the push for more diversity within the sport, with things like the Hamilton Commission and Mercedes' Accelerate 25 program. All of these things have nothing to do with Hamilton's racing ability, but it's these things along with also his work outside of F1, like his clothing collaboration with Tommy Hilfiger, that have allowed him to express himself and which also have contributed to his success, because just like with all sports, when you have the right support structure around you and when mentally you feel free and in the best possible space to perform, it's Mercedes that have put Lewis in that position. The way Ferrari operate, the culture that they have, and the corporate nature of the Ferrari brand, although the team is a lot more modern than it's ever been, I'm not convinced that it would be the right environment for Lewis, and even if he'd gone there in the early 2010s, would he still be the same driver mentally that he is today if he wasn't allowed to express himself to the fullest? Of course, that argument can work both ways, and on the other hand, maybe Lewis would have been the perfect driver to straighten Ferrari out and release some of that pressure that we clearly saw even in their most recent title fight with Seb. Ferrari do need a strong hand, and they do need a strong driver who can handle the pressure and can almost get a grip of the team when they perhaps aren't performing as well as the others. I'm sure all of these things at some point factored into Lewis's decision making, because there's no doubt that he has a huge amount of love and passion for the Ferrari brand. I mean, it's not exactly a secret that he himself has a vast collection of some of their most special and rarest road cars. But what's crystal clear is that not only does he consider Mercedes a family more than anything else, but Lewis, unlike many other successful drivers, has never allowed that love and passion for the team in red to cloud his decision making and leave the team that he built up in a similar way in which Schumacher built up Ferrari. All drivers want to be in the best possible car, and it doesn't matter whether we're talking about Ayrton Senna, Michael Schumacher, or Lewis himself. At the end of the day, their talent is what gets them into the best teams and ultimately the best cars. I mean, some of the most iconic Senna moments, like his infamous quali lap in Monaco in 1988, was done in a car which that season won 94% of all of the races. All drivers are simple. They want the best cars and they want to win. Ultimately, Ferrari never showed the right potential to beat Mercedes and at the right time. And to be honest, even now when I look back at Lewis's career, Lewis Hamilton has always and will always be the very definition of a one-of-a-kind driver. And the fact that he will be the only driver to win 4 or more world championships and never fall into the temptation or need to drive for Ferrari, that's not out of character for Lewis, that's him in a nutshell. He's against the grain and he's never been just another F1 world champion. Still, despite all of that, it doesn't take away from the scintillating and intriguing possibility of imagining Lewis Hamilton in red overalls driving a scarlet red car with that famous prancing horse on the steering wheel. It will always be a what if in F1 history, and it will always be just a special combination that will be left to our imaginations. Well, there you have it, another video wrapped up. Now let me know all of your thoughts in the comments box below, and also let me know realistically at what point and what year in Hamilton's career do you think it would have made sense to go to Ferrari? Let me know your thoughts, as I said, in the comments below, and if you did enjoy this video, then don't forget to drop a like and smash that subscribe button to support the channel, and of course, I will see you in the next one.